Hello, Melissa. It's such an honor to have you as a guest on the Paleo Gardening Show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Melissa Joulwan is the author of the acclaimed cookbooks Well Fed and Well Fed Too. She is well known for her blog, melissajoulwan.com. Melissa, how would you explain your work to anyone unfamiliar with what you do?
Well, my website is primarily the place where I publish new paleo recipes, but I also write about motivation for exercise and body image and travel, kind of all of the things that I think make up a well-rounded, happy, healthy life that are supported by eating a really great diet.
I think that's important to add the other elements. You know, eating is one thing, but you have to have the other elements to be happy. So I totally agree with that. That's cool. So what was the turning point for you to begin the paleo lifestyle?
Well, I've been a lifelong dieter prior to that. I was an overweight kid, and I did pretty much every diet out there. I was a long-time Weight Watchers member. I did the Zone diet. I did crazy ones in high school that I won't even mention. They're so terrible. And I had been fairly successful. I was heading toward my 40th birthday, and I'd lost a bunch of weight, and I was feeling pretty good, but I wanted to get a little bit leaner. And I was doing CrossFit, and I wanted to really support my activity. So I decided to try paleo. And I felt great. Like, I would say 10 days into taking the dairy out of my diet, I started to feel really, really good. And then a few months later, I found out that I had a nodule on my thyroid, and I had to have my thyroid removed. So then following the paleo diet became really about taking much better care of my body, and, you know, the whole concern about losing body fat and getting thinner was overwhelmed by being more concerned about my overall health. So now it's both. You know, now that I've been eating paleo for about 6 years, my thyroid situation is under control, and my weight management is much easier. So it really is great for both. Yeah,
when I started paleo, I've been 3 years now. I couldn't believe the difference after about the first 3 weeks. You know,
yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Better, energy up. Yeah, amazing. So your relationship with Melissa and Dallas Hartwig seems to have played a major role in your paleo journey. Could you tell me more about how that relationship led to you to contribute to the recipes for their book, It Starts with Food?
Sure. I mean, Melissa and I have been friends since about 2009. I'm a longtime follower of her blog before she and Dallas even started the Whole 9 and the Whole 30. And they were getting ready to write their book, and I was fortunate enough that they asked me to do the recipes. It was a really great collaboration. We talked about what kinds of things they wanted to be able to offer their readers. And I wrote the recipes and tested them, and then my husband, Dave, actually took the photos that appear in their book. So it was really fun to be able to contribute to their work because I respect and admire them so much. And it kind of felt like keeping it all in the family because we've been friends for so long.
That's cool. It was their book that got me started. My sister sent me a copy
their book is
of
wonderful.
It is because it explains everything so well. And, yeah, the recipes are great. So thank you for changing my life.
Thank you.
Cool. What are some of the successes you are especially proud of from writing your new book?
Working on the new book has been really fun. It's going to be called Well Fed Weeknights, and it will be out in about a year. It'll be out in the fall of 2016. And the focus of the new book is recipes that can be made in roughly 45 minutes or less. And it's been a great challenge for me because anyone who's familiar with my recipes and cookbooks know I usually advocate for doing a weekly cook-up where you batch cook and make a lot of food at once in huge quantities. And this is kind of the exact opposite. This is, oh my goodness, I just stopped at the grocery store and bought some meat and vegetables. You know, I need to make something right now because I'm hungry. So it's been really good for me to kind of stretch those creativity muscles and work on recipes that are really delicious and can be made quickly, and all of them are full meals. So in the time frame, say 30 minutes, you get protein, vegetables, and fats, and it's a full meal. So it's been really fun.
That'll be very popular because I know a lot of people, you know, they come home from work, they're in a hurry, and and they need to be able to do that. Are you going to have some nice sauce recipes in there? That's, I find, what always makes our recipes turn out well is some kind of sauce.
Absolutely. I love sauces and I love spices, so there will be plenty of that.
Great. Can't wait to get a copy. You said 2016?
2016, about a year from now, yeah.
So what is your vision for the future of your work?
Oh, I think that the well-fed umbrella is big enough that there's lots of ways we could go. One of the things that has been really fun for my husband and I, because we work together, is because of the success of our cookbooks, we have a lot of flexibility with where we live. So we're actually moving to Europe in about a year and a half. And I feel like that's going to open up all kinds of possibilities for new recipes and new creative endeavors under that well-fed umbrella. So who knows what's coming?
That sounds like fun. Yeah, that's exciting. So what are the most common paleo diet misconceptions that you hear, and how do you answer them?
I think the biggest thing that bothers me, particularly in the media, is those two. There's one, this kind of stereotypical idea that everybody who eats paleo is running around in a loincloth and eating giant hunks of meat, around a fire. I feel like that really misses the point that we eat a ton of vegetables and that the idea is really to eat, natural foods. So that kind of bothers me. And the other thing that I find even more troubling is this idea that paleo must be very low carbohydrate, because I feel like that can be really damaging to people who have health conditions that require a little bit more carbohydrate or who are very, very active. And I think that, as paleo practitioners, part of our job is to remind people that it's a framework. And within that framework, you might be low carb, or you might be moderate carbohydrate, or you might be high carbohydrate and lower fat. Just it all depends on your individual situation and what your body needs. And that can change over time too. Like over the summer I was very, very active, but I live in Vermont. So in the winter when it's -10, I'm not going to walk 80,000 steps a week the way I have been over the summer. So I might have to change how I eat based on what's happening outside and what's happening with my activity level. And I feel like that's one of the misconceptions, that like paleo is one thing. It's a lot of things, and it really depends on figuring out the best version for yourself to make it work for you.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we did here on the farm, is because we're all farming and we're walking from sun up to sundown and lifting heavy things, is when I cook, I don't restrict the carbs,
Right.
But I think we get a good balance, just, well, what fruit do you want to eat? And because we don't go into the, sugars and flours and any of that. And it's
right,
worked out really
exactly.
well for us. Because we feel satisfied and we have enough energy to get through the day. And nobody's sitting on weight. So, yeah, I think we have a good balance. So on Paleo Gardening, our mission is to make the paleo lifestyle available to anyone by inspiring and teaching practical skills. So how would you inspire someone who is just beginning their paleo journey?
My advice is going to sound really weird coming from a cookbook author. But the thing that I always tell people who are just starting out is to keep things really simple and not worry too much about recipes in the beginning. Because at its most basic form, paleo is really nice animal protein and beautiful fruits and vegetables and naturally occurring fats. So if you take that and translate it into a meal that looks familiar, it could be something like a steak, a baked sweet potato, some steamed broccoli with grass-fed ghee on it. That's a paleo meal. That requires no recipe at all. In fact, it's probably not that different from how a lot of people would make dinner once in a while. Mm-hmm. Another one is, a nice grilled chicken breast on a bed of salad greens with lots of fresh vegetables from your garden or the farmer's market and a vinaigrette over the top. That's not an unusual meal, and that doesn't require a recipe. So I think really keeping it simple in the beginning and focusing on just getting protein, vegetables, fruits, and fats in forms that you like. And then when you feel really comfortable with that, then pick out a couple of recipes that look fun and give them a try. But I think the worst thing you can do is pick out 10 new recipes and make a huge grocery list and go to the store and come home and try to make all of these new dishes at the same time that you're trying to change your habits. So I would say keep it simple in the beginning.
Yeah, I remember the phase of, oh my gosh, what do I cook?
Right.
And Melissa and Dallas had some very simple, they were like stir-fried things that you could put together.
Mm-hmm.
Like pick one of these meats, one of these vegetables, cook it like this, and that really helps me a lot to kind of get going because I didn't know, very many meals that didn't have a heavy carbohydrate. Like we were gluten-free, so we were rice noodles and, tapioca flours and things like
exactly.
that. But, yeah, that's a great advice for a beginner. Okay, so on your blog, I noticed that over the summer you were cooking from your CSA box. What was one of your favorite CSA box goodies?
I love this question. There are two things that I get really excited about when I go to my CSA, and one of them is going to sound so boring, it's going to sound like I'm nuts. But we've had sweet mesclun greens every week since it started, and they are my favorite thing that we get. I love the mix of all those little lettuces, and they have so much flavor that all I put on them is a little bit of cider vinegar and a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and salt and pepper. Like, that's it. It doesn't require any kind of fancy dressing. Usually I don't even put anything else in the salad. Like, I don't put any other vegetables in. It's just this awesome lettuce with oil and vinegar and salt and pepper. It's so good. And my second favorite thing, which we just started getting because it's fall here now, is the delicata squash. So delicious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. We have a CSA box here, too, we have customers that come and get their CSA box. We will start the fall squash, I think, next week. So we're getting really close. We still have zucchini, so they get zucchini right now.
Wow. That's so great. I felt like our zucchini season was a little short this year. I was surprised when the zucchini ran out because one of my favorite recipes from my cookbooks and from my website is my silky ginger zucchini soup. I literally make it every week with bone broth, and we eat it every day at dinner. We get a big bowl of bone broth with zucchini and ginger in it, which I think is really great for our gut. And our zucchini season was really short this year.
Well, I have zucchini. I just made bone broth, and I have ginger, so I think I'm going to look that recipe
up. So there you
go. Try.
You need to do it.
That sounds great. So, and then I can share that with my CSA customers who are looking at me like, zucchini again? Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's really great, and it's nice. It's nice hot. It's also good cold if you happen to have a hot day. My dad eats it cold during the summer. And I really like to have it for breakfast too. Like have a mug of it in the morning when I'm like cooking whatever else I'm going to have for breakfast. I like to have a mug of soup while I'm doing that.
That's a great idea because I don't drink coffee or juices or anything else, and that sounds like a great way to start the day.
Well, particularly in the winter. It's really nice in the winter when it's cold out.
Your work has helped so many, and there are so many of us who would like to see you continue. How can the listeners stay involved with you?
Well, I just launched my new website yesterday, so you can find me at meljoulwan.com. That's MELJOULWAN.com. And I'm all over social media, and now all of my social media handles are the same as my website. So meljoulwan.com, you can find me everywhere. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. So there's lots of ways to stay in touch with me.
So I want to thank you for taking the time to join me on the Paleo Gardening Show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking.
For those of you listening, to learn more about Melissa Joulwan, you can click the links in the description below or by visiting meljoulwan.com, and you can sign up for her newsletter there. It was a pleasure to have you as a guest on the Paleo Gardening Expert Interview. We'd like you to have a great day.
Thank you so much.